Even heat across the whole grate, and a legit side burner that keeps me outside with the food. That's what changed my weeknight routine. I can get dinner on fast without running back to the kitchen, and everything cooks evenly enough that I'm not constantly shuffling food around. This is the Sophia William 4-burner propane gas barbecue grill. A freestanding cabinet-style propane grill that fits patios and balconies without feeling cramped. It's made for someone who wants a dependable, family-size cooker that can handle a couple steaks on Tuesday and a small gathering on Saturday. If you want a full outdoor station with storage, a side burner for sauces or boiling, and a cooking surface big enough for a dozen burgers, this fits right in that lane. Design-wise, what matters in daily use is how compact it feels without giving up workspace. The depth is on the shallow side, so it doesn't eat into floor space, but the two side shelves still give me landing zones for trays, seasonings, and tongs. One of those shelves hides the side burner under a lid, so when I'm not using it, I get extra prep space. The cabinet tucks the propane tank out of sight and keeps the silhouette clean, which I like because it makes the patio look organized. The lid is double-layered, and that's not just a spec line, it keeps heat in better, which means quicker preheats and steadier temps on breezy days. The grates are porcelain-enameled cast iron. They're heavy, they hold heat, and they leave proper sear marks, but they're also coated, so cleanup is less punishment than raw cast iron. Setup took me about an hour and a half, working alone, with a screwdriver and the included hardware. A tip that saved me time: I didn't fully tighten the cart screws until everything was squared up. The doors aligned better that way. The hose and regulator came in the box, so I only had to bring a standard 20-pound tank. Ignition on my unit is straightforward. Press, turn, rapid clicks, and flame. It's consistent enough that I'm not doing the awkward lighter dance in the wind. The lid thermometer is fine for a quick glance, but I still treat it as a reference rather than gospel, especially if I'm doing low and slow. On preheat speed, I'm seeing the needle hit around 450 degrees Fahrenheit in roughly 10 minutes on a mild day, with all main burners going. For searing, I'll let it run a touch longer with the lid down, then drop a steak on a hot zone I've set up. Heat distribution is better than I expected at this size and price. The flame tamers smooth out the hot spots, so I can run direct on one half and indirect on the other, without playing musical chairs with the food. When the lid is closed, heat holds steady. Open the lid and like any gas grill, you lose a lot of heat, but recovery is quick. Flare-ups are controlled, unless I put something overly marinated directly over full blast. A quick shift to the indirect side calms things down. What really affects my routine is the side burner. It's strong enough to bring a pot of water to a boil without me waiting forever. And more importantly, it behaves like a normal cooktop for simmering. I've used it for caramelized onions, warming a glaze, and keeping a pot of beer and onions going for brats. Instead of bouncing back inside, I can stay at the grill and watch what's happening on the grates. Real-world tests matter more than specs. I lined the main grate with burgers edge to edge and paid attention to browning. The patties cooked at a similar pace across the surface, and I didn't see the dreaded cold corner that some mid-range grills suffer from. For a ribeye, I preheated the grates, oiled the meat, not the grill, and went 2 minutes, rotate, 2 minutes, then to the indirect side to finish. I got an even crust without torching the fat cap. Chicken thighs are my usual stress test for flare control. I start them indirect, skin side up, then finish skin side down over medium, and the flame tamers did their job. Occasional flare, easy to manage, no bitter soot. A small tri-tip works well with a reverse sear approach. Low heat on one side of the grill, meat on the other. Take it up to temp slowly, then sear hard at the end. The lid's heat retention helps keep that low side stable. I also ran a tray of vegetables with a perforated pan over medium. The grate temperature stayed predictable enough that I didn't have to babysit every minute. A specific use case that I keep coming back to: a weekend cookout where I do brats and onions entirely outside. Brats start on the main grate, get a nice char over medium-high. Then I drop them into a pot on the side burner with beer, onions, and a bit of mustard. They stay juicy, I'm not racing between kitchen and patio, and the buns rest on the warming rack without drying out. The warming rack is wide enough for a lineup of buns or a batch of corn tortillas, and it's useful for moving food off the direct flame when something finishes early. There are a few touches that genuinely improve the experience. The full-width grease tray slides out smoothly, and the little cup makes it easy to dispose of drippings without mess. I've had grills where the tray only pulls halfway and I'm balancing a sloshing pan. This one is more controlled. The locking casters make it simple to position and then keep it put. The handle stays cool and the double-layer lid never feels scorchy, so I can lift it one-handed while juggling a platter. The cabinet keeps the patio tidy and gives me a place to store a brush and a pair of tongs. The porcelain-enameled grates clean up well if I do the right things after each cook. Scrape while hot, wipe, and then a light oil. That routine has kept them in good shape. There are trade-offs. The exterior stainless surfaces look sharp, but they show fingerprints and water spots fast, so a quick wipe with a stainless cleaner pays off. The cabinet panels and doors aren't thick-gauge restaurant steel. They feel lighter and can dent if you're careless. The internal height from grate to lid is fine for a small whole chicken or a medium roast, but a giant upright turkey is a no-go. I stick to smaller roasts or spatchcocked birds, which cook more evenly anyway. The grease tray is easy to remove, but when it's really full, you still need a steady hand to avoid sloshing. Heat output for searing is solid for a home grill, but it's not going to mimic a dedicated infrared burner. If I'm chasing that steakhouse crust, I let the grates heat longer, pat my steak dry, and sometimes drop in a preheated cast iron skillet on the grates as a workaround. Assembly instructions could be clearer on orientation in a couple of steps. Taking an extra minute to study the diagrams saved me from swapping panels later. And like any grill with cast iron grates, rust can creep in if you neglect them. The enamel helps, but if I scrub too aggressively and skip the oil at the end, I'll see tiny spots. Regular seasoning and a cover solve that. For day-to-day convenience, the workflow is simple. I roll it out, unlock the casters, check the grease tray, open the tank, preheat, and cook. I use the built-in thermometer as a baseline and a digital probe when accuracy matters. Most nights I've got enough space to feed 4 to 6 people without batch cooking. The grill recovers heat quickly after flipping a full load, and I can run 2 zones to handle proteins on one side and vegetables on the other. When it's time to clean, I crank the burners to burn off residue briefly, scrape the grates, and let it cool before pulling the tray. A light wipe on the exterior keeps it from looking weathered. It's worth calling out the footprint, because it affects whether a grill gets used. The shallower depth makes this easier to live with on a smaller patio, and I don't feel like I'm losing workspace thanks to the side shelves. The cabinet helps hide clutter, and being able to swap the tank from the front without contorting around the back is just practical. After a few months, the lid still closes true, the doors align, and the burners light consistently. If you want a no-fuss outdoor cooker that's modest on space, strong on even heat, and legitimately useful with the side burner, this fits. It's for someone who will take 5 minutes to maintain the grates and keep a cover on it, and in return, wants steady performance for weeknight dinners and weekend get-togethers. If you're chasing restaurant-level searing power, or you live right on the coast and refuse to do any maintenance, you'll want to look at heavier-duty options. For most backyard cooks, the combination of a compact cabinet design, heat retention from the double-layer lid, a large enough cooking surface, and the convenience of the side burner hits that sweet spot of capability and comfort. I will post full information about the Sophia and William 4-burner propane gas barbecue grill with side burner and porcelain-enameled cast iron grates in the comments section. See you in the following videos.